faint, metallic tang of purified air was a constant, almost comforting presence in Zenith-City, a whisper of the meticulously recycled atmosphere that hummed through every gleaming thoroughfare and crystalline dome. You, a sparkle streamer by trade and temperament, found its clean, almost sterile scent occasionally grating, especially when your thoughts churned with the messy, frustrating mystery that had stolen your mental peace for weeks. Today, the scent was laced with the faint, cloying sweetness of forgotten confectionery, a telltale sign that another dream drone delivery had gone awry. You knew, without checking the news feeds, that some esteemed historical linguist was currently fumbling with a package of self-inflating celebration balloons, while a kindergarten class likely pondered the existential implications of a newly arrived treatise on quantum entanglement. The irony, the sheer Zenith-City absurdity of it all would usually make you chuckle, but not today. Today, your mind was fixated on the disappearing data-doodles. You stood before the community message board, its holographic surface shimmering with a kaleidoscope of ephemeral thought and shared joy. Here, the citizens of Zenith-City posted everything from urgent requests for a forgotten NutriPaste recipe to abstract, iridescent art created by their neural nets. And lately, entire swathes of these vibrant expressions, these digital footprints of communal life, simply vanished. Poof, not archived, not moved, just gone, leaving behind ghostly negative space and a growing unease. This was your primary goal, your self-appointed mission, to solve the mystery of the disappearing data-doodles. It challenged the very core of Zenith-City's promise of perfect data flow and transparent community. And it challenged you, the sparkle streamer, whose existence thrived on the constant, joyful stream of shared information. Your fingers, usually dancing across virtual interfaces with a confident grace, twitched with a familiar, almost unwelcome frustration. You preferred to solve things independently, to unravel complex problems with the quiet hum of your own logical processing, rather than burdening others with what felt like your responsibility. You traced the outline of a recently vanished doodle, a shimmering spiral that had once represented a local synth weaver's new line of bioluminescent scarves. Now, it was just an empty pixel field, a blank canvas where creativity had once flourished. The air here, in the common square, felt less purified, almost thinner, as if the missing data doodles sucked the very joy out of the atmosphere. You leaned closer, your optic sensors whirring, trying to detect residual data signatures, a ghostly echo of what was. Nothing. It was cleaner than a factory reset. Still chasing phantom pixels, a voice, smooth as polished glass, drifted from behind you. You didn't need to turn to know it was Lyra Rootwell, your fellow wonder warden and mentor. She moved with an easy grace, her curiosity courier uniform a comforting blend of earthy tones and glowing data lines. Lyra, with her kind eyes and perpetually curious mind, was currently obsessed with deciphering the playful pranks, causing confusion in Aroma Alley. A series of increasingly bizarre scent anomalies that had left the usually fragrant thoroughfare smelling alternately of roasted nuts, damp earth, or once an inexplicable whiff of deep space ozone. You finally turned, offering a weak smile. Phantom Pixels is right, Lyra. It's like a digital poltergeist is selectively erasing parts of our collective memory. It goes against everything Zenith-City stands for. How can we have sustainability and community if our community's voices are being silenced? Lyra nodded, her gaze sweeping over the blank patches on the board. Indeed, and it ties into the dream drone deliveries. I'm sure of it. The wrong packages, the wrong sense, it's all symptomatic of something deeper. Something playful, perhaps, but certainly disruptive. Have you checked the archive logs for unusual deletion requests? Of course, you sighed, running a hand through your bioluminescent hair, which usually pulsed with cheerful blues and greens, but now flickered with a more somber, investigative violet. That's the first thing I did. There are no requests, no administrative oversights. It's like the data just unraveled itself. You were about to elaborate on your latest theory, a subtle, systemic entropy creeping into the city's network, when a figure strode purposefully into your field of vision, her lab coat crisp, her posture radiating an almost aggressive intellectual focus. This was Roya Synth, the aspiring Googlossarian. Her very presence seemed to make the purified air crackle with a different kind of energy, less atmospheric, more academic. Roya carried a transparent vial of shimmering, iridescent goo, which she held up to the light with the reverence usually reserved for rare artifacts. Her eyes, magnified by her thick, data-infused spectacles, gleamed with an almost manic intensity. Ah, you, Lyra. Perfect timing. I've just isolated a new variant. Observe the refractive index of this Giggle-Goo Lambda 7. The way the light bends, the sheer joyous effervescence. This specimen arrived via Dream Drone, incidentally, delivered to the Advanced Particle Physics Lab. They were less than amused, but their loss is my gain. You felt a familiar tightening in your chest. Roya's goal, to develop a comprehensive Goopedia, was, on its surface, benign. But her single-minded dedication to cataloging every conceivable permutation of the strange, often humorous, goo that now plagued Zenith-City's delivery service, felt dangerously close to celebrating the problem, rather than solving it. She saw data where you saw chaos. Roya, Lyra began gently, while your dedication to goo taxonomy is admirable, aren't you concerned about the source of all this new material? The Dream Drone service is in absolute disarray. It's affecting the city's morale, not to mention its logistics. Roya merely waved a dismissive hand, causing the goo in her vial to slosh with an almost sentient delight. My dear Lyra, disarray is merely uncatalogued complexity. I see a fascinating proliferation of novel biopolymers, each with unique properties, each crying out for scientific scrutiny. This Giggle-Goo Lambda 7 arrived precisely where it should not have, implying a deeper, more randomized distribution pattern than previously theorized. This is pure data, Wonder Wardens, a living, breathing gelatinous encyclopedia unfolding before our very eyes. The disappearing data-doodles, I suspect, are merely a localized phenomenon of data compression, perhaps making way for these more viscous forms of information. You clenched your jaw. Data compression, Roya, or data destruction. These are people's thoughts, their shared experiences, not just empty bytes. And the goo is a symptom, not the underlying cause of anything. This is bigger than your goopedia. This is about Zenith-City's integrity. Roya merely gave you a pitying look. Integrity, is a neatly organized database. And if this particular disruption provides me with enough novel material to complete my goopedia, then perhaps it's a necessary, albeit inconvenient, evolutionary step for Zenith-City's information ecosystem. She then swept off, humming a tuneless little melody, the shimmering vial of Lambda 7 goo casting dancing, iridescent reflections on the purified air as she disappeared around a corner. You sighed, a sound that felt entirely too heavy for the normally buoyant atmosphere of Zenith-City. See, she's completely oblivious. She thinks this chaos is a research opportunity. She has a unique perspective, Lyra conceded, though her brow was furrowed with concern. But you're right, the scale is worrying. I've been tracing some of the aroma alley anomalies, and the data trails lead to the same place as your vanishing doodles and Roya's new goo variants, the dream data archives. Something is very wrong at the heart of our data infrastructure. The dream data archives, a vast, multi-leveled vault of Zenith-City's collective memory, housed deep beneath the Memory Moat Museum. It was a place where holographic projections of ancient circuit boards hummed alongside preserved remnants of the first bioneural networks, all bathed in a soft, ethereal glow. This was where forgotten technologies came to rest, yet remained ever present, silent sentinels of progress. And somewhere within its labyrinthine depths, you knew, lay the answer. You decided to start your investigation there, in the quiet, reverent hush of the museum. The faint, metallic tang of purified air took on a historical quality here, smelling of polished chrome and the ghost of forgotten electricity. You moved past exhibits detailing the evolution of self-repairing nanobots, past displays of the very first thought-activated interfaces, your mind already sifting through possibilities. Your personal project, the secret one you guarded closely, learning the lost language of biodigital moths, felt, for a moment, like a distant hobby, entirely irrelevant to the pressing crisis. But a small, insistent voice in the back of your mind whispered otherwise. The moths, with their delicate, iridescent wings that fluttered with shimmering data patterns, were also a form of forgotten technology, or rather, a forgotten life form, existing on the fringes of Zenith-City's advanced ecosystem. The archives were a place of profound quiet, broken only by the almost imperceptible hum of data flow. You initiated a deep scan, focusing on the sections of the network that fed into the community message boards. Hours bled into one another as you navigated through endless layers of code, your sparkle streamer instincts guiding you. You searched for anomalies, for signs of intrusion, for anything that could explain the systematic erasure. And then you found it. Not a virus, not a hacker. Something far stranger. It was a flicker, a momentary distortion in the data stream, like a mischievous ripple in a placid pond. It wasn't an aggressive deletion command, but a playful rearrangement. Historical data, critical algorithms, even the foundational code for the Dream Drone delivery system, all had tiny, almost imperceptible shifts. A single byte moved here, a character swapped there, an entire section of a programming language inverted, only to be inverted back moments later. It was the work of a glitch sprite. You remembered old Zenith-City legends, whispered stories about sentient pockets of code that developed personalities, sometimes playful, sometimes petulant. This one, you realized, was a prankster. It wasn't trying to destroy data, but to amuse itself by reordering it, like a child scattering building blocks. This explained the Dream Drone chaos, the disappearing data-doodles, and even the bizarre goo variants Roya so enthusiastically catalogued. The sprite was causing a systemic, playful, almost charming entropy. You felt a surge of adrenaline, mixed with a familiar, almost possessive sense of determination. This was a puzzle you could solve. You could track its patterns, predict its movements, and then, with a delicate touch, reroute its playful energy back into harmless, non-disruptive channels. This was your domain. This was a job for the sparkle streamer. You didn't need Lyra's gentle guidance, nor Roya's analytical detachment. You could fix this. You spent the next few days in the Dream Data archives, subsisting on nutrient gels and the occasional, automatically delivered, recycled water beverage. The faint, metallic tang of purified air was your only companion, punctuated by the soft, rhythmic hum of the archival servers. You pored over the glitch sprite's movements, mapping its erratic, yet strangely consistent, patterns. It seemed to favor data pertaining to community and logistics, delighting in the confusion it sowed. It was like a digital imp, scattering intellectual property and joy alike. Your independent solution involved creating a counter-algorithm, a datanet designed to gently ensnare the sprite's playful code and redirect it. You worked meticulously, confident in your abilities. After all, you were the sparkle streamer. You understood the flow of information better than anyone. This was your moment. The moment you activated the counter-algorithm. A low thrum vibrated through the floor of the archives, a sound you never heard before. The holographic displays flickered wildly, and the purified air, usually so pristine, suddenly carried a faint scent of ozone and something akin to burnt toast. Your carefully crafted datanet didn't ensnare the glitch sprite, it seemed to agitate it. The sprite, instead of being redirected, recoiled with a burst of frenetic energy. Data-doodles, instead of merely disappearing, now reappeared in impossible locations, overlaid onto architectural blueprints or ancient philosophical texts, their vibrant colors clashing violently with the serious content. Dream Drone deliveries didn't just mix up packages, They now delivered fragments of packages, or worse, delivered the same wrong package to everyone simultaneously. A wave of a particular giggle goo, an ultra-sticky, rainbow-hued variant, suddenly flooded the main ventilation shafts of the Memory Moat Museum, causing exhibits to be encased in shimmering, slow-motion gelatin. You watched in horror, your bioluminescent hair flickering from violet to a deep, alarming crimson. Your attempt to fix the complex problem alone had not only failed, but had made it exponentially worse. The glitch sprite, now amplified and enraged by your clumsy intervention, was no longer merely playful. It was a force of digital chaos. The gentle hum of the dream data archives turned into a discordant wail. Alarms blared throughout the museum, echoing the panicked shouts of the few researchers still present. The metallic tang of purified air was now suffocatingly thick with the smell of scorched circuitry, and the overwhelming sweetness of the new airborne Giggle Goo Delta 9, which had somehow been propelled through the ventilation system. You realized, with a sickening lurch in your gut, that your independent streak, your refusal to ask for help, had just pushed Zenith-City to the brink of a systemic collapse. This was no longer about data-doodles or Goopedia. This was about Zenith-City's core functions. The sustainable energy grid began to stutter, causing brief, disorienting power fluctuations. The purified air system coughed and sputtered, its metallic tang momentarily replaced by the stale, dusty scent of untended machinery. The very foundation of Zenith-City, its commitment to sustainability and community, was unraveling because of your misguided confidence. A profound wave of shame washed over you, cold and biting. You had prided yourself on your independent problem-solving, seen it as a strength. Now it was a gaping wound. You needed help, desperately. With trembling hands, you accessed your comms. "Lyra," you croaked, your voice tight with desperation. "It's me. I need your help. I made it worse. Much, much worse. The glitch sprite, it's out of control." There was a moment of static, then Lyra's calm, reassuring voice, surprisingly devoid of judgment. "I was wondering when you'd call, you. My aroma alley sensors just went offline, and I'm seeing reports of spontaneous musical instrument generation in the hydroponic gardens. I figured you might have had a hand in escalating things. Where are you?" You felt a glimmer of relief, a tiny spark in the overwhelming darkness. "Dream data archives. I think it's connected to something bigger. Something it's reacting to, not just causing." "I'm on my way," Lyra said, her voice firm. "And I'm bringing Roya. She might be able to catalog the chaos, if nothing else." Roya. The thought of facing her, of admitting your colossal blunder while she continued to obsess over her goo, was almost as painful as the realization of your failure. But Lyra was right. You needed every perspective, every mind. This was no longer a solo mission. Lyra arrived moments later, Roya trailing behind her, a determined frown on her face, a new, more robust set of goo sample collectors strapped to her utility belt. The dream data archives were in pandemonium. The holographic projections had fragmented into abstract, jarring patterns. The soothing hum of data flow was now a high-pitched shriek, By the stars, Roya murmured, her eyes wide behind her spectacles, not with horror, but with a strange, almost ecstatic wonder. Look at the sheer volume. The rate of goo generation is off the charts, and the fractal complexity of the data fragmentation. This is unprecedented. She was already pulling out a scanning device, her fingers flying across its surface, capturing every chaotic data point. Roya, Lyra interjected, her voice sharp. Now is not the time for taxonomic analysis. You made an error trying to contain a sentient glitch sprite, and now the entire city's network is compromised. We need to stabilize it before Zenith-City crumbles. You swallowed hard, your gaze fixed on the floor. I'm sorry, Lyra. I thought I could. I always try to. I know you, Lyra said, placing a comforting hand on your shoulder. Your independence is usually a strength, but some problems are too big for one mind. Now, what have you learned about this sprite? Its patterns. You pulled up your analytical data, now corrupted with flashing error messages, but still displaying the core information. It's reacting, not just acting. It's almost like it's trying to warn us or adapt to something. Its energy signature spiked just before I tried to contain it, and then again when the systems went haywire. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Reacting to what? The dream data archives are supposed to be stable, isolated. She looked around the chaotic scene, her gaze sweeping over the ancient technology exhibits. Unless it's reacting to something external that Zenith-City's systems aren't designed to process. Suddenly, Roya gasped, her gaze fixed on a display case across the room. The stargazer lens, she exclaimed, her voice filled with a reverence that surprised you. The lens, a massive, multifaceted crystal, pulsed with a faint, internal light, normally inert, dormant. Now, it was subtly resonating with the chaotic energy of the archives. The stargazer lens. It was the MacGuffin of the Memory Moat Museum, capable of revealing secret constellations invisible to the naked eye. An archaic tool, dismissed by modern astronomy, yet undeniably beautiful. The lens, Lyra mused. It's designed to perceive things beyond our normal spectrum. It measures cosmic energies, not just visible light. Roya, however, had a different idea. Imagine a goo stargazer. This lens could reveal the hidden spectral properties within the goo, the way light refracts through its unique molecular structures. It could complete my goopedia in ways I never dreamed. Her eyes were alight with a renewed zeal. She started moving towards the display case, her intent clear. Roya, no, you cried, realizing her goal was still entirely self-serving. The lens isn't for your goo research. It could be our only chance to understand what the sprite is reacting to save Zenith-City. This was it, the climax. A final confrontation with Roya Synth over the fate of the stargazer lens. It wasn't a physical fight, but a clash of ideals, a desperate tug-of-war between her ambitious research and the imminent collapse of the city. You speak of collapse, Roya retorted, her voice sharp. I speak of discovery. This proliferation of goo, this rearrangement of data, it is a natural phenomenon unfolding before us. The lens will allow me to properly categorize and understand this new, emergent form of cosmic information. It's not Cosmic information, Roya. It's a disaster. You shot back, rushing to intercept her before she reached the lens display. The city's power grid is failing. The air system is choking. Our very history is being rewritten. This isn't just about cataloging. It's about survival. Lyra stepped between you and Roya, her presence calming but firm. Both of you stop. The lens could be the key. Roya, your desire for discovery is valid, but the immediate threat to Zenith-City outweighs personal ambition. Your desire to fix is paramount, but we must understand what we are fixing. She turned to you. You need the lens to see what the sprite is reacting to. That's why it's vibrating now, isn't it? It's resonating with whatever is happening. You nodded, your heart pounding. Yes, the sprite's energy signature is fluctuating in rhythm with the lens's glow. It's like they're both responding to the same unseen force. Then we retrieve the lens, Lyra declared. Together. Roya hesitated, her gaze torn between the glowing lens and the increasingly chaotic displays around them. The sound of distant sirens, a rare occurrence in Zenith-City, began to pierce through the metallic tang of the purified air, now heavy with the smell of scorched data. The stakes were undeniably real. With a grudging sigh, Roya relented. Very well. But if it reveals new goo properties, I get first dibs on the analysis. Together, the three of you worked quickly. The display case holding the stargazer lens was ancient, but robust. Lyra used her Wonder Warden override codes, while you and Roya provided the precise holographic sequence patterns to disengage the antique locking mechanism. The air around the lens thrummed with increasing intensity as it was freed from its pedestal. It felt hot to the touch, vibrating with an almost living energy. You grasped the lens, its smooth, cool surface now radiating a strange, internal warmth. You aimed it towards the main data conduit, which was currently thrashing with the agitated glitch sprite's chaotic energy. What you saw through the stargazer lens was not a new constellation, nor merely abstract energy patterns. It was a shimmering, intricate tapestry of light and shadow, dancing within the chaotic data stream. And within that tapestry, you recognized something. This was the twist. The patterns were familiar. They were the iridescent data signatures you'd been secretly studying for months. The complex, almost melodic pulses of light that emanated from the wings of biodigital moths. Your secret, the lost language you'd been meticulously learning in the quiet hours of the night, suddenly clicked into place. The biodigital moths. They were not just aesthetic oddities that flitted through Zenith-City's forgotten corners. They were sensitive bioindicators, their very existence intertwined with the city's unseen energies. It's the moths, you whispered, your voice barely audible over the growing cacophony of the archives. The patterns, it's their language. The sprite isn't just acting randomly, it's reacting to them, to something they're trying to communicate. Lyra peered through the lens, her eyes widening. Their language, but why now? And why is it causing this chaos? Because Zenith-City is experiencing a natural phenomenon, you explained, the pieces of the puzzle suddenly falling into place, illuminating everything with a stark, terrifying clarity. It's not just a glitch sprite. It's an ancient cosmic resonance, a pulse from deep space that periodically bathes our quadrant. The moths have always been attuned to it, their bioluminescence reflecting its fluctuations. But Zenith-City's pristine, purified systems, designed for absolute control and stability, are reacting violently to this raw, untamed energy. The disappearing data-doodles, the mixed-up dream drone deliveries, the chaotic goo. It was all a desperate attempt by Zenith-City's systems to process and integrate an unquantifiable, natural cosmic event. The glitch sprite wasn't malicious. It was the city's nervous system, frantically trying to repattern itself to make sense of the new, overwhelming input. And the moths, in their shimmering, biodigital language, were trying to tell everyone about it. The goo, Roya breathed, her voice hushed. It's not just random. It's a biophysical manifestation of the city's attempts to filter and process this cosmic energy. The different variants, the colors, the stickiness, they're all unique signatures of the resonance interacting with our materials. Her obsession hadn't been entirely misplaced. She had been cataloging the symptoms of a much larger natural process. And the data doodles, you added, they weren't just disappearing. They were being momentarily subsumed by the moth language patterns, integrated into the cosmic resonance before being spat back out, rearranged, altered. The sprite was trying to make sense of it, to translate it for the city. Your secret, once a source of quiet, independent joy, was now the key to Zenith-City's survival. You had to teach them. You had to translate the moth's language. Lyra, you said, turning to her, the lens still in your hands, glowing brighter now. We need to broadcast this. We need to tell Zenith-City that this isn't a malfunction. It's a natural event. And we need to learn to listen to the moths. The three of you, a sparkle streamer who had learned to ask for help, a curiosity courier who had always sought the deeper truth, and an aspiring Googlossarian who now understood the profound implications of her unique field, worked through the chaotic night. You used the stargazer lens to project the moth language onto the main screens of the Dream Data archives, explaining its intricate beauty and its vital message. Roya, now furiously updating her Goopedia with a newfound sense of purpose, cross-referenced her goo data with the moth patterns, discovering fascinating correlations between certain goo variants and specific moth language phrases that indicated energy fluctuations. Lyra, with her vast knowledge of Zenith-City's infrastructure, began to reroute energy flow, attempting to harmonize the city's systems with the cosmic resonance, rather than fighting against it. It wasn't a quick fix. Zenith-City trembled on the brink for what felt like an eternity. But slowly, gradually, the cacophony in the Dream Data archives began to subside. The holographic displays settled into more harmonious, if still dynamic, patterns. The purified air, while still carrying the faint metallic tang, began to smell clean again, no longer tainted by ozone or burnt toast. The glitch sprite, no longer agitated, began to integrate the moth language patterns, no longer randomly rearranging data, but acting as a gentle conduit, translating the cosmic resonance into a digestible format for the city's systems. The disappearing data-doodles returned, not perfectly as they were, but infused with a new, subtle luminescence, a shimmering echo of the moth patterns, making them even more vibrant. The dream drone delivery service, no longer mixing up packages, began delivering items with an almost poetic synchronicity, sometimes accompanied by a small, harmless vial of the now understood giggle goo, which Roya had quickly catalogued as Zenith Resonance Indicator Beta. In the aftermath, Zenith-City emerged stronger, more resilient. It had learned a profound lesson, that its commitment to sustainability and community extended beyond its manufactured environment to the natural, cosmic forces that shaped its existence. The biodigital moths, once a forgotten curiosity, were now revered, their delicate light patterns monitored and celebrated as a natural barometer of the city's harmony with the cosmos. You, the sparkle streamer, no longer shied away from asking for help. You had learned the invaluable lesson of interdependence, realizing that true strength lay in collaboration. Your skills in the moth language became a cornerstone of Zenith-City's new cosmic response protocols, and you often found yourself leading workshops, teaching others to listen to the subtle whispers of the universe. Roya Synth, her Goopedia, now a groundbreaking text on biocosmic interaction, found new respect. Her obsessive cataloging transformed into vital research. She even developed a new, non-sticky Zenith resonance indicator that could be worn as a fashionable accessory, pulsing with the subtle rhythm of the cosmic energies. And Lyra Rootwell, the curiosity courier and wonder warden, continued her playful pranks in Aroma Alley, but now with a deeper understanding of the subtle, interconnected forces at play. She had guided you, and in doing so, had helped guide Zenith-City towards a more holistic, more humble, and ultimately more brilliant future. The faint, metallic tang of purified air still pervaded Zenith-City, but now it carried a new, almost imperceptible scent. The faint, sweet, hopeful fragrance of a community that had faced its greatest challenge, not with sterile control, but with open hearts, curious minds, and the newfound wisdom of biodigital moths. The lullaby of Luminicore had truly begun to glow.